A ball of light in your hands. Someone once said, don't read a book unless it's like a ball of light glowing in your hands. I think that's a reasonable standard. If you allow them, intuition and serendipity will likely lead you to such glowing balls of light. J.R.R. Tolkien called fantasy writing subcreation. Reading fiction is also a subcreation because the reader uses the text as a screenplay and subcreates their own movie based on the book. The movie the reader films in their mind is their own unique creation. The ability to subcreate such inner movies may be essential to the evolutionary event horizon we are hurtling toward. At the end of an interview with Terence McKenna, my late colleague, on the subject of virtual reality, the interviewer asked, "So, in the future, will I be living in the movies?" "No," replied Terence. "In the future, we will all be movies." New VR hardware is unnecessary to bring that about since we become movies every day when we dream. In the case of mutual dreaming, the movie can be a collaborative creation. When you become absorbed in a work of fiction, it is very much like mutual dreaming. You enter a landscape of people, places, and events that have been visited by others who have had parallel but not identical experiences. Writing and reading are essentially telepathic technologies. For example, as I write this card, when I was writing it, now I'm obviously recording it, my inner thoughts are flowing out of my mind and converted into symbols, letters, words, and word combinations. You, the reader, however displaced in space and time, are now decoding, in other words, reading, my private thoughts through the technologies of language and the internet. Although all mammals dream, the capacity for creative interiority that allows a person to subcreate their own inner movie based on a book they are reading is uniquely human. Never having that participation mystique experience with a great work of fiction may be a more fundamental deficit than never having had sex or never having been able to see or hear, since it is more uniquely human. After all, other animals can see and hear and have sex. In the 1970s, my high school social studies teacher really got my attention when he said that movies are the queen of the arts, and then he explained that movies can incorporate all other art forms. At the core of almost all movies is a work of fiction called a screenplay, but movies can also include music, art, dance, etc. Novels have unique advantages, though, as they excel at interior monologues and are unparalleled in their ability to take you inside a character's thoughts and feelings. Seeing characters through the eyes of a wise old soul who is also a master novelist, George Eliot's Middlemarch is a shining example, but there are many others. Um, they can teach you more about human nature than a shelf full of psychology books or superficial social time spent with actual human beings. Writing is the art form with the least mechanical resistance. There is an infinite special effects budget, whereas to present a great fantasy work as a movie may take hundreds of millions of dollars. The most available time travel experiences for me have been through reading. For example, the world of 19th century England is exotically different than the world I grew up in, but I feel as if I've been there because I have logged so many hours in that world from having seen it through the eyes of some of the greatest novelists like Charles Dickens. Virtual travel to other times and places through reading allows you to see the world you live in more sharply. You can triangulate your position better because you've experienced other realms. When you travel through writing, you're not a detached tourist, but are able to enter the most intimate moments of the natives and even see inside their minds, hearts, and souls. Great fiction set in your own time can allow you to see the world you live in with greater depth. William Gibson, who is credited with inventing the cyberpunk genre with his first novel, Neuromancer, has also produced his Blue Ant trilogy, consisting of pattern recognition, spook country, and zero history set in contemporary time. Gibson's powers of observation and evocation are such that these two contemporary novels have greatly enhanced my ability to see the world I already live in, as well as to gain experience of obscure subcultures. As Gibson has famously said, the future is already here. It's just unevenly distributed. The Blue Ant trilogy brilliantly reveals that present future. On the practical level, most modern lives occur in a time ghetto, where urgent, unimportant things, the ringing phone, etc., tend to predominate over important, non urgent activities like reading. Getting that participation mystique bonding with a book usually requires a block of time, and many people find blocks of time hard to come by. I also find that reading text off a white page is stressful and unpleasant for my eyes after a certain point, and I have too much active energy to sit still in a chair for long stretches of time. Most of my reading takes the form of audiobooks, which are usually read by highly skilled actors. Audiobooks allow me to look forward to performing mundane mechanical tasks, like doing the laundry, because mechanical task time can be double purposed as reading time. With the audiobook, there is no eye strain, and I don't have to sit still. And I did pay back into the audiobook world by recording an audible version of my sci-fi fantasy epic Parallel Journeys and performing it myself. Very difficult to get all the technical things right to satisfy ACX, the company that funnels into audiobooks into Audible, but that's another story. Of course, there are advantages to silently reading text. If the writing is complex, it can be easier to follow. If you're interested in the craft of fiction point of view, there are advantages to being able to actually see the typography and the landscape of sentences and paragraphs on the page. Also, you may prefer to experience the author's vision undistracted. Even if you're doing mundane tasks, by nature, multitasking is a fracturing of your energy, and therefore your experience may be lessened. You could, however, choose to rest your eyes and listen to an audiobook with your eyes closed during a flight or some other public transport. Whenever I have insomnia, which is fairly often, I lie down in bed with eye shades on and listen to an audiobook with headphones. The book replaces the racing and or looping thoughts that often make sleep difficult. I set the audible timer to 30 minutes and reduce the reading speed in the Audible app to 0.8. If I'm still unable to sleep, I remind myself that lying down with closed eyes is also restorative, and I focus on the audiobook with undistracted attention. The next time I pick up the book, I replay any parts that played while I was drowsy. Depending on the position in which this card occurs, it may suggest that this is a propitious time to enrich your life with creative reading, or it may relate more generally to the interior life and its value. Never fall for the extrovert's assumption that what is happening in the outside world is more important than what is happening within. Everything I've written for others is available for free on zaporacle.com. This includes my greatest creation, which took 45 years to complete, Parallel Journeys. And I'm going to do a little commercial here for Parallel Journeys, but remember, sorry about the crashing sound, this can be read free on the website. Art historian Leah Montalto called Parallel Journeys a literary tour de force for a post-apocalyptic era and described it as a riveting and inventive novel within the science fiction genre, but also stands on par with the best of American literature. A richly vivid textural palette is used to describe a post-apocalyptic world which could very much become real. And so here is the opening premise, which you also find there in the back of the book. Does this reality feel fundamentally wrong to you? What if the truths of what lies hidden are exposed in the journal of a survivor of an extinction level event in our near future? His journals have been sent back in time to warn us about the perilous edge between extinction and evolutionary metamorphosis on which the fate of our species trembles. The survivor writing to us is an empathic 18-year-old named Tommy. He's been sealed in a 3-acre biosphere with just one other person, and the outside world has been radio silent for the 3 years of their enclosure. Tommy is in telepathic contact with someone living during our time who may hold the key to an evolutionary metamorphosis. The journals, entitled Parallel Journeys, have been sent back in time to inspire you to create your own metamorphic butterfly effects to help our species avoid extinction and survive in a new form. So, if you read this book, especially if you put a review on Amazon, I'll be forever grateful. But I'm more interested in compliments than negative criticism. When I was writing the book, I was no holds bar. Anybody could and did diss all kinds of different aspects, including many Gen Z beta testers. But now that it's finished, and not getting that many readers at the moment, it's only just going to cause suicidal ideation if people diss the book. But most people have not, except one person who said factually untrue things about it. But in any case, also free on the website is my most important nonfiction book, Crossing the Event Horizon, Human Metamorphosis and the Singularity Archetype. And this book relates to the two parallel event horizons of personal death and species metamorphosis. So it seems like it's could be pretty valuable to read since it relates to the core of human experience. And as someone once said, stories should be equipment for living, and that's how I write my books. They're not the idea of postmodernist literary snob types is that the only proper subject for novels is downbeat books about failed relationships. But actually, the mainstream of all writing is fantasy, right? I mean, look at the Bible, Beowulf. That's the mainstream of human literature. It's not like some subgenre. And downbeat books about failed relationships are more like a weirdly specialized acquired taste for something unappetizing. As Dorothy Canfield Fisher said, a 20th century novelist, she didn't understand why most modern novels had to be all wormwood and vinegar. And so I believe that a great novel should take you through a full range of human emotions. And that's what I try to do with Parallel Journeys.